This is a physics puzzle game I'm developing called Siege Engineer. Here is 1 year of game development progress. In 2014, I released my first game, Trickshots Inc. It was made with a 2D mobile game engine called Corona SDK. I had fun, so kept making stuff. Eventually I wanted to work on a 3D game that could be run on PC, which was something Corona couldn't offer. So I started learning how to use another game engine that I'd been hearing a lot about, Unity. The idea for my next game was a procedural universe sandbox, complete with full-scale planets, a building system, and realistic chemistry-based crafting. With a scope that large, the game would never be finished. I spent about 9 months on it, and actually managed to create this low-poly space simulator. But it wasn't a game, and I decided to stop working on the project. Anyway, now I knew Unity, so I kept making games. As it turned out, Unity was pretty amazing for 2D as well. Fast forward to a little over a year ago, and I was ready to start a new project. For some reason, I'd always wanted to make a game where you can build a trebuchet. Trebuchets are medieval siege engines that can launch 90-kilogram projectiles over 300 meters. Well, that was my starting point, a game about trebuchets. My first idea was a PvP game where you could build and upgrade your trebuchet, then battle against other players. Then I thought of making more of a physics sandbox, a type of thing I've always enjoyed playing around with. There would be levels where you build siege engines to complete various tasks, such as launching a projectile some distance, destroying a castle wall, or protecting a king. This was enough for me to start building a prototype. I wanted the building system to be really simple, but still allow for a lot of freedom in what you could create. So my idea was to have joints automatically form when two objects are overlapped. This wouldn't work so well with a huge number of different shaped objects, so I decided to make various length wood beams the main item that you build with, and then have some other items that you can connect on top of them. When done building, you just press the play button to run the physics simulation. Early development of the game continued to focus on the building system. Here is the item inventory I added. For each level, you would be given different types of objects that you would have to use to complete each task. I also wanted the items to have editable properties, so I made a menu that would change based on the selected item. The connections that were automatically created could also be modified or removed. The whole system I was setting up turned out to be a little more complicated than I was anticipating. Instead of relying on long tutorials, I wanted building to be super intuitive and easy to just start using. But viewing it as a user, some things didn't work as I would expect them to. At least in these cases, I could make the changes to fit the expected behavior. But there are a lot of situations where I didn't know what should happen. When you click and drag an object, should everything connected to it move too? Or if a connection is removed, how should the two remaining objects interact? Intuitiveness is still something I'm working on. Here's the game at this point. There are a few more items added, like wheels, these stone balls, there's a spring, and some destructible stone walls. It's a lot of fun to play around with, but it's not really a game yet because there's still no objective. It seemed like having each level use one of 5 or more tasks would overcomplicate the game and could confuse players. And some tasks didn't even make for very interesting levels anyway. So I decided to make every level focus on just one, causing destruction. You would need to build something to destroy enough stone walls to pass each level. Something that I thought could make the game funnier was ragdolls. My idea was to make a ragdoll foot soldier as an item you can use, and then they could run and knock down walls and fight opposing ragdolls. For me, creating art is probably the most difficult part of game development. It's possible to hide bad code, but you can't really hide bad graphics. I normally stick with this simple vector graphic style, where each piece of an object is made up of these distinct solid shapes. One challenge with the graphics in this game specifically was dealing with resolution. In the game, you can zoom in to make smaller edits. But even with high-resolution, uncompressed images, you can still either see the pixels or this texture filtering effect, which just doesn't look great. Because my art was in this vector graphic style, I started looking into Unity plugins that could import SVG files. And I found that Unity was actually working on this feature and had a preview package available. So it imports SVGs made in a vector graphics program like Illustrator, and converts them into meshes that you can use in your scenes. It just makes everything look so much cleaner. I made the mistake of not designing and testing out lots of levels early and as development progressed. As a result, I found that there really isn't a huge variety of interesting things you can build to destroy structures. The game needed some kind of change. After lots of brainstorming and about a month break from the game, I came up with this: transport a guy to a goal. Not so original, I know, but it seemed like it could allow for more diverse gameplay. So I made the changes and implemented new features to support this new idea. I added a chair for a ragdoll guy you could connect stuff to, a goal, a terrain system, and I came up with a story for why this foot soldier guy is flinging himself around everywhere. Currently the game is playable, and I'm working on polishing it up enough to release some kind of demo. This game has been super fun to work on, but I did get tired of it at times, and took breaks to work on other small projects and learn things outside Unity. Still, it's the longest I've worked on a single project, and it was a lot of fun looking back and seeing the progress I've made over this past year.